Welcome to the deep dive. Have you ever, stopped to think if some of the health challenges out there, maybe something you're dealing with or someone you know like endometriosis, could actually be connected to, well, things in our everyday lives, things we might not even notice?
It's a really important question.
It is. And today, we're diving into a really fascinating set of sources that explore exactly that. Specifically, a surprising link between a common environmental chemical and endometriosis.
Yeah.
Our goal here really is to connect those scientific dots with what it might mean for you personally. Hopefully give you some clarity, maybe some empowering knowledge too.
And the specific chemical we're going to focus on is dioxin. It's a pretty nasty toxic byproduct from various industrial processes. Unfortunately, it's kind of widespread in the environment.
Right, and here's where it gets really interesting. The places this chemical shows up might genuinely surprise you.
Hmm.
So digging into the sources, one of the first things that jumped out was, well, frankly, a bit of a shock. Dioxin.
Yeah.
It's actually present in really common products, things you probably use without a second thought. We're talking like bleached tampons,
Hmm.
certain plastics, even some processed foods.
It's quite pervasive, and the science really starts to back this connection up. There was one key study published back in 2013 in Environmental International.
No,
It found significantly higher levels of dioxin in women who had been diagnosed with endometriosis compared to women who didn't have it.
significantly higher.
Wow. Yeah, it's not just a small difference. It points towards a pretty direct correlation, which is a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so these chemicals are in everyday items, and higher levels are found in women with endo.
Hmm.
What does that actually mean for our bodies? Like, how do dioxins do
All
that?
right. Well, dioxins fall into a category called endocrine disruptors.
Okay, I've heard that term.
Yeah, so think of your endocrine system like your body's communication network using hormones as messengers. These disruptors, they basically interfere with those messages. Specifically with dioxins, they can really mess with how your body regulates estrogen and inflammation. And as you know, both of those are huge factors in endometriosis.
So they disrupt the regulation.
Yeah.
It's not like they're adding estrogen necessarily, but throwing the whole system off balance.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. They derail the body's ability to manage its own hormone levels and inflammatory responses properly. It's quite insidious, as you said.
Hmm. And is this just like one study's idea, or is there broader agreement on this?
Oh, no, it's definitely not isolated. The scientific consensus has been building. For instance, the Endocrine Society, a major authority, they actually issued a scientific statement back in 2015.
Okay.
And they explicitly linked dioxins and similar endocrine disrupting chemicals to a range of reproductive diseases, and endometriosis was specifically included in that.
Right, so the major endocrine body is pointing to this link.
Precisely. It really solidifies the understanding.
And I think there was another piece of evidence we looked at.
A review?
A review.
Yes, exactly. To build on that, there was a comprehensive evidence-based review in Fertility and Sterility in 2016.
Hmm.
And its conclusion was pretty clear. Environmental exposure to chemicals like dioxins likely plays a significant role in the risk of developing endometriosis.
Okay, so multiple lines of evidence,
Mhm.
major society statements,
Hmm.
reviews concluding this. It really makes you pause and think.
Hmm.
Why isn't this, common knowledge? Why aren't we talking about this more openly?
That's a really good question.
But, all right, understanding the problem is one thing. This deep dive, it's really about empowerment, right? It's about figuring out, okay, what can we actually do with this information, not just get scared by it.
Exactly. And the good news is, based on the evidence in these sources, there are some concrete, practical steps you can think about taking, things you could implement pretty much right away.
Okay, like what?
Well, first off, consider switching to unbleached organic tampons or pads. The key is avoiding products bleached with chlorine, as that's a source of dioxin formation.
Right, the bleaching process itself.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Second, think about reducing how much animal fat and processed meat you eat.
Why specifically animal fat?
Because dioxins are fat soluble. That means they dissolve in fat and they tend to build up or bioaccumulate in animal tissues. So the higher up the food chain, the more concentrated they can become. Your dietary choices can actually make a difference in your exposure level.
That's a really important connection. Okay, so unbleached products, less animal fat. What else?
Another one is avoiding burning plastic waste. That process releases dioxins directly into the environment, the air you breathe.
Right. definitely don't want to be doing that.
And finally, just be a bit more mindful of synthetic fragrances. The ones in perfumes, air fresheners, cleaning products, some cosmetics.
Do they contain dioxins too?
Not always dioxins specifically, but they often contain a mix of chemicals, and some of those can also be endocrine disruptors. It's more about reducing the overall chemical load your body has to deal with.
Got it. So it's about making cleaner swaps where possible. Understanding these connections, it really can feel empowering. It gives you options. You deserve to know what might be fueling symptoms. You deserve clean choices.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power here.
So just to kind of wrap up our deep dive today, the big takeaway, I think, is this really powerful and often quite hidden connection between things in our environment we might think are harmless, like dioxins, and complex health issues like endometriosis.
Yeah.
It's just a stark reminder, isn't it? Our environment and our biology are so closely linked, more than we probably realize day to day.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how these seemingly small, sort of everyday exposures can add up over time. They accumulate, and they can quietly influence our most intricate bodily systems, like our hormones.
Right, little things adding up.
Yeah. It really encourages us maybe to think a bit differently about our routine choices, what we eat, the products we use, how they might impact our long-term health. It kind of prompts you to maybe look at labels a bit more closely, think about our environmental interactions with, well, a new perspective, an informed one.
That's a great final thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring what impacts your body, stay curious, and maybe question the label a bit more often.